Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining on a Sunday afternoon. Today we are going to discuss basics of bond investing, and then we will also discuss the upcoming asset on the platform GRO. Right, Anuj is going to talk about GRO asset and discuss the risk etc. We'll go through the basics of bond investing. So this webinar is specifically for first-time investors, people who haven't invested in bonds on Windwell platform. Right. So we understand that there will be very basic, simple, sometimes you might think it is a silly question, but feel free to ask in the question and answer. Just to make it proper, we will first cover all the PPT. It will take about 20-25 minutes, and then we will go to covering all the question and answer, right? So feel free to put your questions. So we'll answer the questions later after the PPT. Can you go to the first slide? Yes. So what are bonds? Bonds are like loans that you give to company or similar, like basically there is equity, which is where you share profit and losses. In bond, you get fixed return, whatever happens to the profit, right? So you get certain periodic interest payment. And after a point, you also get your principal back, right? So that's bonds, right? Can we go to the next slide? So where do bonds actually come in, right? So they basically give higher returns than FD, and then but are less risky than equities, right? So compared to FDs, bonds are riskier. Compared to stocks, bonds are less risky. Returns also are there, right? So it is not a replacement for one asset class or another asset class. It's a good way to diversify, and we will come to that when we should invest, how much should we invest. We'll answer all those questions. Can you go to the next slide? Yes. So bonds are generally issued by two type of entities. First is government, right? So government of India issues bonds, which are GSEC government securities, and then there are private corporate bonds, uh, which are private limited or public limited companies basically offering you bond, right? Then even that in these private limited companies, there are two major types. One is NBFC and one is non-NBFC, right? What is NBFC? NBFC is a non-banking financial corporation. So these are regulated by RBI. So they get license from RBI and they basically give out loans. They just don't have savings account or like a proper banking facility, but they can give out loans, right? And they generally cater to the audiences that are not, or cater to borrowers that are not catered by traditional banks, right? Why this is a big distinction? So now these NBFCs cannot raise money through savings account or FDs, right? Most of them. So how do they raise money? They raise money through issuing bonds, right? And for these NBFCs especially, money is a raw material. So they borrow and then they lend. And probably they borrow at 11-12% and lend it at, let's say, 19-20. And then there is OPEX, and then there is operational cost, and then there is some credit losses, and then they make some profit, right? So their whole business runs on borrowing money at certain cost and then deploying at a higher cost, right? So their demand for money is very high. So you see many of the NBFCs issuing bonds, and it is one of the very big sector among all other sectors, right? So on Windwell platform, we only bring out NBFC bonds, and we'll get into that also why, right? But NBFC is basically a non-banking financial company, which also can give loans. They are regulated by RBI. Can you go to the next slide? Right now, in bonds also there are a bunch of types, majorly senior secured bonds, senior unsecured bond, and subordinated bonds, right? Then there is something called hybrid, which is mixture of debt and equity, and then there is pure equity. Now you see, as you go down the curve, the risk also increases. So see, equity there is highest risk, highest return, right? Senior secured bonds, uh, least risk, right? Why? And this least risk is compared to unsecured bonds, right? So what are senior secured bonds? So there is some collateral attached to the bond. So in case the NBFC, the issuer, is not able to pay, that collateral can be used to repay the bondholders. Now, what can that be collateral? That can be property, that can be cash, that can be FD lien mark. But generally, in case of NBFC, it is pool of loans, right? So let's say NBFC has given out 1,000 loans. Whatever repayments are coming from those loans is considered collateral, right? So if NBFC is not able to pay, the repayments from these borrowers are used to pay the bondholders, right? Does that make the risk zero? No, but it gets mitigated, it gets managed really well. So the risk is on the lower side. In case of unsecured loan, there is no collateral. So if the NBFC doesn't pay you, you don't really have any collateral, right? Uh, on Windmill platform, you'll only see senior secured bonds, right? Uh, can you go to the next slide? So why senior secured? Again, so they are secured by collateral. Compared to other bonds, they have lowest risk. The returns are also low compared to other bonds. And if the NBFC is not able to pay, that means they have gone bankrupt. In that case, senior secured bonds also have collateral and also have first priority, right? So after senior secured bond holders are paid, if anything is remaining, then it goes to senior unsecured, and then anything goes to subordinated bonds, right? Uh, can you go to the next slide? Yes. So if NBFC defaults, there are many questions like first time there is a collateral. So what happens actually? So there is 6 months moratorium, there is a resolution plan, then there is a liquidation process, and then whatever that asset is liquidated, that goes back to bondholders. Ideally, it should take 6 months, but in India we have seen longer, right? It can take years, right? So you have to consider that. So you have to choose NBFC. While choosing NBFC itself, you should be very much clear that what is the credit risk, because if NBFC default, you make it, even if it is secured bond, money is going to come much later at point of time, right? And it's going to cause you a lot of headache, right? And how do we mitigate this risk? We'll also talk about it, right? Can we go to the next slide? Yes. So I mentioned that bonds are riskier than FDs, right? So what are the risk involved and how are they mitigated, right? And this is very important. And people often ask me, like especially in investors, saying this is secure, so how can this be risky? If this is risky, should we even invest, right? So if you go for any high return product, there is always risk involved, right? Whether it is equity, stocks, etc. In a good investment product, that risk is mitigated well. It doesn't become zero, but it is managed well, right? For example, in equity mutual fund, you have like if you have diversification across sectors, right? In flexi cap fund, it is across market cap also. So there are a bunch of ways to mitigate risk, but first let us understand risk, right? The major risk. There is liquidity risk, credit risk, and fraud risk. Liquidity risk is money being stuck, right? So how do you mitigate that risk is let me first explain what is a liquidity risk. So liquidity risk is something. So this bond, let's say this bond, you invested in bond that has tenure of 2 years. Uh, Now you want to sell it after 2 months. NBFC will not buy it, so you have to find a buyer. If there is a buyer, then you can sell and exit, right? And how this risk is mitigated? We help you find buyer. In fact, we have recently started rolling out feature where people can come and directly automatically sell the equities, and we are doing a pilot with a small cohort. But soon you will be able to sell all the bonds holding on Windwell platform only, right? We are not guaranteeing liquidity. We are providing a platform, and we think that we have about 60 plus thousand investors. So if you provide little bit of discount, there will be buyer, right? So that is how liquidity risk is mitigated. Second is credit risk, risk of money being lost, and this is the biggest risk that you should understand, right? Uh, and how this risk is mitigated is, first we make most of the bonds amortizing bonds, so money keeps coming back. Second, while choosing NBFC also, we are very careful. We do thorough due diligence, right? We have multiple criterias looking at NBFC's financial health, and if we have even reasonable, very less than reasonable doubt, also saying this NBFC could go bankrupt, we don't bring it that on the platform. And you must have, as you like, I'm really happy to share that we have been in fifth year of operation, and we haven't seen any single default delay on the Wind platform, right? Because we are not an open marketplace. Just we list all the bonds, we do diligence, and only bring bonds that fit our risk criteria. We do additionally one more thing to make to for investor comfort. That is, we also co-invest, right? We invest 2% with the intention of holding till maturity, right? So we have skin in the game. So it is as if, because we actually invest our own money, right? So our diligence works in a way that we are investing our own money, right? And we only get paid if that bond performs well, right? At the end, right? And that is one of the reason that we haven't seen any defaults also, because we have skin in the game. Now, third risk is fraud risk. Fraud risk is fraud done by NBFC promoter, not by employees. Employee frauds are smaller and get covered by equity. But employee promoter frauds is where you don't know what data you are underwriting, right? And how do we mitigate that risk is by doing a thorough research also on promoters, their background, their earlier stints, right, and their market reputation, etc. We also look at the equity investors in the NBFC, auditors, processes, etc. Everything, and then only we bring the asset on the platform, right? And when we say we do this and we do thorough diligence, the proof is like that diligence only matters if we are co-investing, right? Otherwise, there is no point. So we co-invest, and that's the uh, biggest comfort that we can give. Now again, this is way we mitigate risk. Does that mean risk is zero? No, it is non-zero, but it is mitigated. It is managed well, right? Can you go to the next slide? Yes. We have sold bonds for 2,000 crores. We have 62,000 investors. Out of 2,000 crores, 1,250 crore has been repaid. We haven't seen any default, any delay, any stress situation in any of the NBFCs. We have brought on about 40, 50 NBFCs on the platform altogether, right? So that just wanted to share our record also. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. Before we get into the details of the asset, I wanted to cover 2-3 aspects. First is very important parameter that we look at is what is leverage, and this is a little technical, so I'll explain. So leverage is debt by equity, right? So let's say if NBFC has equity of 100 crores and it has 400 crore debt, so 400 divided by 100, so leverage is 4. Now, higher the liquidity, lower the leverage, lower the risk, right? So ideally, we want NBFCs where leverage is low. And this leverage should be also low till the last penny of the bond is repaid, right? It should not happen that you invested in NBFC with leverage of 1 and bond has a tenure of 2 years. And after 6 months, the leverage is 5, right? So we also choose bonds, or we also bring bonds where there is a leverage condition till the bond is repaid, right? And generally it is not above 4 except couple of asset classes, right? So across all bonds, you will see that we bring on the platform, there is a leverage monitoring that goes on, and there is a maximum permissible leverage till the tenure of the asset as terms, right? And if NBFC crosses that, they have to comply immediately, or they have to return investors' money, right? So they generally don't cross that, right? So this is a very important concept, right? And I just wanted to share. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. Again, many people ask that most of these bonds are amortizing bonds. What is amortizing bonds? So invest 100 rupees today, and tenure is 2 years. The 100 rupees don't come after 2 years. Probably 1/4 come after 25 rupees come after 6 months, another 25 after 12 months, right? Now, for first 6 months, you have deployed 100 rupees, but after 6 months, you get 25 rupees back. Now, your only 75 rupees is deployed, right? So you'll get return on that 75 rupees. Now, after 12 months, you have only deployed 50 rupees. So you'll get interest on 50 rupees. So that interest is the proper interest, and that is that is the proper way to measure, and it is measured by XIRR, right? So it is never, if the bond is amortizing, the return, like plain return, will look less. The way to achieve that return high is to reinvest that, and we are making reinvestment simpler. We are launching something very soon, right? But therefore we focus on XIRR, right, and give you chance to reinvest again, uh, so that the risk is managed well. It is very important to manage risk first before just optimizing for the returns, right? Why different payments? Many bonds, like some bonds will pay interest monthly, some quarterly, some will pay at the end only. Similarly, principal, some will pay at the end, many of them will pay in between, right? These are just different feature of the bond, targeting different investors. What is collateral cover pool? We already discussed. Now, again, one question that we get is, why are bond prices higher than face value? A bond is price. Okay, let me just simply explain this. If a bond is, let's say, has a 10,000 rupees investment, and then NBFC pays 100 rupees interest monthly, right? So after a month, that bond will become 10,100, right? Again, the interest will be paid, then bond will become 10,000. But just before the interest is paid, the bond value will be 10,100. So this 100 rupees is called accrued interest, and it doesn't change overnight. Every day there will be addition of 3.3 rupees, right? So that at the end of 30 days, there will be 100 rupees added, right? Uh, so that's how it works. So for on day zero, bond price will be 100 rupees. On day one, it will be 10,000 rupees, and then 10,003 rupees, then 10,006 rupees, and so on, right? So therefore, bond prices are high. One more point I wanted to mention is we also make, like, how we make money is we make money by selling bonds, and we get about 1.2% on every bond that we sell, and that is also often priced in. Therefore, like, the investment amount may seem higher than the fair value, face value. But whatever returns you see are after all these processing charges, everything, right? There are trustee fees, issuance fees, listing fees, bunch of fees, our fees, everything. So if you see XRR 11.5 or 11, whatever you see, that you get ultimately after all the charges, right? So these are variation on bonds. Can you go to the next slide? Yes, taxation. On interest repayment, you get tax as per your tax slab. TDS is 10%. When you file tax, if you are in 20%, then you have to pay additional 10%. If you're in 30, you have to pay additional 20. Some of the NBFCs provide 15 GH for form, and we enable that, right? Even if you don't, like, if these NBFC don't, when you file TDS, you can claim back this TDS when you file the tax, right? Yes, can you go to the next slide? Anuj, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ajinkya. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar on the Sunday afternoon. So I will take you to the new launch that is coming over to the platform tomorrow. So it is a GRO Capital bond. So the issuer is GRO Capital. It's a BSE and NSE listed company. Uh, it's a NBFC which is focused primarily on lending to small businesses, basically micro and medium enterprises. So it caters to their funding requirements by providing customized loan solutions. The company was acquired in 2018 by Mr. Sachindra Nath. He's the vice chairman and managing director of the company. At present, the company operates about 164 branches. So it's divided into two types of branches, 23 prime branches and 141 micro branches. It is spread across India. The company's AUM has recently crossed 10,000 crores. So it's a major milestone in the history of the company. The company is backed by marquee institutional investors, which we will cover in the next slide. Yeah. Next slide, please. So these are the key metrics of GRO. As of June 2024, the net worth of the company is more than 1,900 crores. The AUM is 9,200 crores. So the 10,000 crores AUM, it has recently crossed in October. So the equity investors of the company is ADV Partners, New Quest, Samna Capital. So these are some marquee investors which have provided equity to the company. Some of the debt lenders are State Bank of India, Canara Bank, SIDBI, Central Bank of India, IDFC First Bank. The credit rating of the company is A plus stable from India Ratings. So as we can see, the leverage of the company is currently 2.36x. The AUM crossed 10,000 crores, and the company is also low NPS. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is the brief financial snapshot of the company. So as of June, the net worth is more than 1,900 crores. The AUM is more than 9,200 crores. And the company has generated a PAT of 30 crores. So this is the June number just reflects the PAT, the numbers for that quarter. So if you see, the profit has been increasing year on year, and the company has made a profit of 30 crores only in June quarter. The debt equity ratio as of June is 2.36x, and over the last few years, the company has not crossed 3.5x at any point in time. The GNPA is one of the best in the industry. So it's 2.9 standing at June 2024, and NNPA is 1.59. So this GNPA and NNPA basically reflects the bad portfolio of the company, which it has currently. Yeah. So, so when we talk about the issuer, it's essential to understand about the senior management of the issuer as well, who is running the company. So we have Mr. Sachindra Nath, who is Vice Chairman and Managing Director. He's the founder of GRO Capital. So he has a diverse experience in insurance companies, global asset management firms, and lending institutions. So he's a qualified lawyer and a university rank holder from Banaras Hindu University. Then we have Mr. Kishore Kumar Loda, who is the CFO of GRO Capital. He also has more than 20 years of experience working with organizations like Future Group, Shrey Infrastructure. He joined GRO after serving as the CFO of Hinduja Leyland Finance. And then we have Mr. Anuj Pandey, who is the Chief Risk Officer of the company. He's also the founding member of GRO Capital and brings over more than 20 years of experience from leading companies such as Barclays, ABN AMRO Bank, GSK Consumer, and Religaf Invest. Yeah. Next slide, please. So the bond that we are launching tomorrow has some conditions, as Ajinkya mentioned. So few of the conditions that are there in this basically are the CRR of the company should be at least 15%. So CRR basically represents the company's own capital, which it should kept it should keep as a bare minimum to absorb any losses that may incur in the future. The debt equity ratio should not be more than 6x. So currently it's about less than 2.5x. So it has sufficient room to grow its capital, grow its AUM, and at the same time it has to maintain less than 6x average. The GNPA and NNPA on AUM shall not be more than 5% and 3%. So these are the some of the conditions that GRO has to maintain till the maturity of this bond. So what are the comfort points that we see on GRO is like it has a good corporate governance. So there are 10 directors on the board of GRO Capital, out of which 6 are independent directors. Then there is an experienced management team of GRO, as we have seen in the last slide, so which have a cumulative experience of 190 plus years. Then GRO has a comfortable portfolio quality. As of now, the GNPA stands as 2.9% and NNPA as 1.59. So it's one of the best in the industry. Yeah. So some of the concerns that also we would like to highlight for GRO are moderate profitability. So as I mentioned earlier, so it has been in the initial stages of its operations, started full-fledged operations in the year 2000, around 2020. So it's still expanding and opening new branches, hiring new people, key people to expand its portfolio. So that's why the profitability is moderate, but it will increase as the business scales up. Then the seasoning of the portfolios also will be on the lower side because it provides higher tenure loans to the enterprises, somewhere like 7-8 years. So some of those products are yet to see the full cycle, and hence the seasoning is little low for those products. Brief highlights about the bond that we are launching tomorrow. So it is secured and rated. The rating is A plus by India Ratings. The underlying collateral is the pool of loans that the company has given to the enterprises. So it is about 1.1x. The bond provides a return of 10.50% XRR. It pays interest at annually and at maturity. The principal repayment is bullet. So basically the entire face value of the bond you will get at maturity. The balance maturity of the bond is about 11 months. The investors will have access to about 7 crores of investments as we launch tomorrow. And yeah, the bonds are listed on both BSE and NSE. Yeah, so this is very this is the investment flow. So Wintwell platform provides access to the investors for entire 24/7. Investors can visit anytime during during the day, place order by making the payment, complete the investment, and on the immediate next working day, the bonds will be credited to the demat account. Yeah. So that's it about the company. So you can reach out to us on our website or through on our WhatsApp and email address mentioned here.
Yes.
Yeah. Over to you, Ajinkya.
Yes, we can stop sharing the presentation. So we'll start taking questions, right? difference between Zerodha direct investment and through Windwell. So on Zerodha, you can buy any bond that is available, right? Many of these bonds are not actually available on Zerodha, right? Uh, but in Zerodha, it is simple. You can actually buy it on exchange. We actually curate bonds and bring only as I mentioned, where we do diligence and then bring it on the platform. Why Windwell not bringing any bonds IPO similar to other platforms, or when always bond arrives late as the user has to pay premium? I get it. So we've seen bunch of problems in primary. We might figure out a way to apply it, like bring it on the platform again. So we have tried with this bonds IPO, right? The problem is many of the users' money gets stuck, and that process is not very smooth. But we'll revisit this again and see how can we bring it on the platform. But thanks for the feedback. I want to sell my bonds after some time. What is the process to sell? So you have to sign a online there is this form called DDPI, and then you can online sell it on the like how you buy, you can sell. It's pretty straightforward process. So whenever you want to sell, just ping us on our customer support, and then will help you. It's completely online. Audio is not clear. Can you speak closer to your mic? Anuj, my audio is clear?
Yes, Ajinkya, it's clear.
Does the bond issues go through any regulatory approval process? So all of these bonds are listed, so they have to mandatory follow SEBI's listing guidelines, etc. They need not go through approval process, but they have to follow compliance at the time of issuance and regularly to make disclosures, etc. Right. So yes, there is a regulatory oversight, not per se. Do you invest 2% in all the bonds? What 2% of? Okay, so yes, we invest 2% on the all bonds. So if we bring a bond of 10 crore, issue size of 10 crore on the platform, we invest 2%, right? How do we know you co-invest in your portfolio? Do you publish your holdings anywhere? So we have made this commitment, so we actually invest. Anuj, is there a way for people, like whether we invested or not?
We do not share it publicly, Ajinkya, but the investor can reach out. We can share the details on one-on-one basis.
Do all the bonds on the platform have rating? Yes, most of them are not most, all of them have investment grade platforms, but we think rating is just one criteria. There are far other important criteria. We just don't look at rating as a singular criteria. But all of the bonds that we bring on the platform are investment grade, right? Generally in the range of A or triple B. What is the rating of GRO?
It's A plus.
What part of spread is borne by the issuer? I didn't understand this question.
So I think they are asking like if the issuer is paying that spread. So actually, it's the issuer only who is paying the spread. If we mention that it's 10.5 XRR, then the investor is getting 10.5 XRR. There's no hidden cost whatsoever, which is separately borne by the investor.
How are NPs calculated? Does RBI mandate the formula?
So yeah, RBI does mandate. So anything which crosses more than 90 days DPD, basically delinquencies, if the loan amount, be it interest or principal, is overdue for more than 90 days, then it is classified as NPA. So yeah, RBI does mandate that formula. There are principles, directions around that, which the NBFC has to comply.
I already own GRO bond. TDS is being deducted. Since my annual income is less than 1 lakh, I would like to submit Form 15. How to submit Form 15 with GRO? Please ping us on WhatsApp and we will help you. Why PAT on March 24 is 119? Before it was 39 crore and for June it is 30 crore. So how there is growth in PAT? Anuj was mentioning that there is growth in PAT. Please explain that. So this March 24 PAT is of yearly PAT, and Anuj?
Yes, that is
119.
an yearly PAT. Yes, and 39 crores for June, or 30 crores for June is only PAT for 3 months. It's not annualized.
I keep hearing evergreening of loans through circuitous route, bringing down the NPA. This is general, probably not GRO. What like? So I'll answer this. So we do have checks for that also, right? If we smell like if we feel that, see, in evergreening you never get exact proof, but if we feel that there is evergreening, we have experts team. We will avoid such NBFCs. Are you not launching 5 tomorrow? Yes, we are launching 5 tomorrow also. It is, I guess it's a smaller launch, Anuj, and it is at
Yeah,
1
it's
lakh.
a smaller launch, and also the ticket size is 1 lakh. So it's catering to a different segment altogether.
Yes. I have invested in few bonds in past from Windwealth. It shown on Zerodha as unrecognized entry. Any solution to this? So there is no solution. So recently, therefore, we have started opening our own demat account. These demat account help you track bonds, sell bonds, and bunch of other features on top of it. And it also doesn't. If they go to any other demat, it creates problem there. Like in case of Zerodha, it shows as unrecognized entry. It might also hamper your XRR or CAGR calculations there, right? So now you don't have to worry about that. Is demat account compulsory? Yes, but it is free. There is no opening charges. There are no AMC charges. Do we have to have another demat account from Windwell to buy this? Yes. Which bond is better to buy? 1,000 rupee bond in uh, 1098 or 931. If everything else is similar, 931 is better. Are SIPs not possible with bonds? It seems like so. It is theoretically possible. We are figuring out a way. Should something should be up, but it will take 2-3 months. But we are working on something. You grow maturities for 10 months. If I'll have to withdraw before that maturity period, are there charges or will I attend interest on pro rata basis? There are no charges that we are charging, but to find buyer, you might have to give certain discount, right? So your interest rate could go down by 1 or 2%. Again, if there is a buyer, if you may get buyer at the same price, you may get buyer as you are closer, you might get buyer at a higher price also, or lower price also. But there will be only charges. There will not be any charges. You might have to like give up certain interest portion, or probably you might gain also. How to get TDS certificate? It reflects in 26 AS, right, Anush?
Yes, correct.
What does low seasoning or portfolio in concern section? Could you
Sure. So company has been in operations for the last 5 years. It started somewhere around 2020, but it has given loans of 10 years, original tenure of 7 to 10 years. So when we say low seasoning, so the company has seen only 5 years out of that 7 to 10 years of the loan product. So the complete cycle is yet to be seen. So that is where our concern lies, that it may happen that at the end of the tenure there might be some losses which currently we are not able to see. Once that cycle crosses, then we will be able to better witness that.
how much percentage of total investment should be made on senior secured bonds by senior citizen? See, we are not personal finance advisors, so we can't really tell you. But how I'll come to it. So if you are okay with the risk, then only you should go for bonds, right? And if you want to if you want to have returns that beat inflation and that gives in fixed income, these bonds could be a very good fit. But whether that should be in your portfolio and what percentage, we are not really qualified also, right? And we can't really tell without. We need so much knowledge about the client. Even if we personally, for me, it will require too much information. We can't really advise before that, theoretically, and legally we can't advise. Is there any plan to bring new feature for high return? So we keep bringing bonds, right? Tomorrow is this one is 10.5. There is one 11.5. So you'll see many bonds weekly. Generally, we are trying to bring one bond. TDS applicable. Filing form 15G is very difficult. Otherwise, Windwell rocks. Yes, TDS is applicable. Thanks for the compliment. So we have also requested regulator saying if a person form 15G or H once, it should be tagged because we have everything digital now, demat account and everything. So if a person fills 15G or H and that PAN card is mentioned, it should be tagged everywhere where that form is applicable. We hope it comes sometime soon, and I get it tomorrow. Today, some NBFCs, some NBFCs have it, some don't. They have to maintain records, so it is also very difficult task on their behalf. It needs to be simplified. We are pushing for it. Can you enable Union Bank of India net banking? We are trying to enable all banks. So all these, sometimes these integrations stuck at banks and then between payment gateway, but we'll push for it. I'll look into this. What is the minimum investment for this UGRO bond? About 10,000 rupees, right? Right, Anush?
It's 1,000.
Oh, it's 1,000. This is public. Earlier, I used to see bonds purchased on Windwealth app on my Zero the Kite application, but not able to see the same in recent past because recently now you have also opened Demat account with Windwealth. So you will be able to see that in Windwealth app and also on NSDL if you want to independently verify. So you can download NSDL's PDF. What is the cumulative 190 plus percentage experience mentioned in one of the slide? What is this, Anush?
So it is basically the total experience of the senior management of UGRO who is running the company. So everyone has more than 15, average 15 to 20 years in the field.
As senior secured bonds, are UGRO bonds pari passu or pro rata?
It's exclusive charge, not pari passu. So like 1.1x cover is there. So if in case if there's a default, that 1.1x cover will be exclusively available for this bond holders.
Do you only focus on senior secured bond? Yes. Are there any bonds with higher XRR you offer? These itself is higher XRR in our opinion. But that was a light-hearted answer. Like, we don't believe that after a point you can chase returns without actually taking unnecessary risks. So we want to avoid unnecessary risk, right? So we stick to these XRRs. How to reinvest in bonds? We are planning to launch something soon. Today you have to do it manually. How does a bond determine when they are going to pay interest? Is it going to be monthly, quarterly, or annually? So it is predefined. What is the frequency for this, Anuj?
It is annually and at maturity.
It is paid annually at the time of maturity.
Yes, annually also and maturity. So the total tenure of the bond is 18 months.
Got
So
it.
at the end of 12 months and at maturity.
Got it. Is there an option of adding secondary holder in existing Demat single account? You can add nominee, second holder. I don't think we have enabled that feature yet. In future, we may, but as of now, no. Any plans on issuing other type of bonds than senior secured bond? I don't think we will as of now. What is the difference between bank and NBFC in terms of return bankruptcy risk? I mean, if we deposit in a bank, what happens to when bank bankrupts, and when I invest in bond, what will happen? What does RBI does here? Will it return all our money in case of bank deposit and NBFC bonds? In case of bank deposit, up to 5 lakh, it is guaranteed by deposit insurance scheme. So up to 5 lakh, you will get back your money. In case of bond, there is no insurance. So if it goes bankrupt, and even in secured bond, you should get money by recovering collateral, but in rare scenarios you might even lose the principal also, right? In that case, RBI won't do anything. Is the collateral secured? What is the collateral? What kind of loans are there?
So it's SME loans, business loans, basically,
These
which is
are
secured by mix of both secured and unsecured loans.
When are you going to IPO? Do you accept us as investors? Say I invest 10 lakh rupees. So we at one point of time we are deliberated saying should we accept money from our investors, but there are some bunch of regulations, and we didn't want to break any regulation. But if you are personally interested, you can ping us and we'll see if we can do anything. Do you have any bonds secured by Government of India bonds or by gold or by silver? No. At the maturity of bond, is there anything we need to do for selling? No, nothing. Money will hit your bank account. You don't need to do anything. If the an NCD and bond is not listed on either NSE or BSE, how can we sell them? So you have to find buyer by yourself and then sell it. If it is dematerialized, then it will be either in NSDL or CDSL. Then you have to download their apps. It's a bit complex process. If it is unlisted, it is very complex process. Any specific reason for offering not only NBFC bonds, but banks bond like IDBI, South Indian Bank, etc. I don't think banks are allowed to issue senior bonds. They issue tier two bonds, right, or perpetual bonds. These are very risky ones. So, and they're not even meant for retail. In fact, RBI now has increased their face value to 1 crore rupees, right, Anush?
Correct.
So all of the bonds that you see are lower face value are old bonds. Again, they are not meant for retail. Can the company issue the bonds at par rather than with a premium being charged? The company generally issues bond at par only. Right? Premium is charged if the interest rate changes, if the accrued interest comes in, or if somebody is selling at a higher price. There is only two way for payment. Some person don't like online. It is better if we pay through RTGS or NEFT. It's safe. Uh, we have, okay. Have we disabled RTGS NEFT?
Yeah, currently we have disabled that, but if the investor is only comfortable with that and not comfortable with, then they can separately reach out to our team. It will not be a online process, but it will be a separate process. But it will be similar process only, but not through online.
Why it is not allowing certain bank online transfer like KVB Central Bank? So we are trying to get all banks. So the payment gateway has to enable all the banks. Sometimes bank don't give a go ahead because their internal compliance is approving etc. So it is taking time. But we are adding more banks. We definitely have more banks than we had 3 months before, and we will have more banks 3 months going forward. How does Windwell plan to stand out as compared to other OVPs, something which other won't be able to replicate? I think if we focus on customers, right, bring right bonds and keep making sure we don't thug customers, right, then I think if we operate honestly, that itself is good enough. हिंदी में webinar कब होगा? Okay, let's do. We okay. Let me get back with the date. Can I bid a lower rates to get higher return based on demand supply? Not in primary, but secondary. So these type of people are going to be buyers when the liquidity comes in, liquidity feature come in. Currently, we are selling our own inventory and we want to keep it simple, right? So therefore, we don't sell at differential pricing and there is demand supply because anyway, bond investing is a new, and then you don't want to it complicate it further with more variables. Why don't we get so many bonds of grade AA or AAA in Windwealth? So these bonds offer some 8-9%, right? These are not attractive for retail investors. We in fact have small finance bank FDs, which offer you exactly similar return. Up to 5 lakh, they are guaranteed by government. We are bringing more small finance banks, so you can invest so much more. Right. So we don't see any traction and we don't see rationale of bringing those bonds. Let me know which kind of XRR bond we should go with, higher or lower. Everything else being equal, you should go for higher, but you can't really compare different bonds. Some of like higher bonds may come with higher risk. How can we access our demat account created by you? You can access it by downloading NSDL's PD app, or you can download it. You can also on web, you can probably access it. So it is with NSDL, so you can. How does Windwell get profit? Do you charge customer the platform fees or any MCs? No, we make about 1% on bonds we sell, and that we charge generally either to the NBFC or by buying bond at a lower price and selling it at 1% higher price. We don't charge anything to customer. Yeah, IPO question I already answered. Bonds IPO, we will look into it. I am new to bonds. Could I claim my 10% TDS while filing a ITR? Yes, you can. Uh, 10.5% is post-tax IRR? No, it is pre-tax. If not, what is post-tax IRR? That you will have to calculate depending on your tax bracket. But let's say if you're in 30% tax bracket, then it will be about 7.5, 7.3, something in that range. Does different platform charge differently for the same bond purchase? Yes. Is there any ratio or thumb rule to invest in bond? How much should I invest? So if you're new, start small. Uh, as you get command, you should diversify across at least 10 bonds. And money that you don't want to invest in equities, but you're okay taking risk, that you can invest in these bonds is what we believe. How much that percentage you would only know. I could find my bond units for Winthrop September 24 and Samanati 24 on NSDL's PD app. How can I trade these units on stock market? You can't, but we are enabling that feature. So you will be able to sell it through our platform. We are enabling that soon. If you want to sell these units, let us know. We'll help. Benefit to invest via Wintwealth over any other platform. So we co-invest. We bring only bonds where we have comfort in, and we have done due diligence. So that provides additional layer of security. We are not randomly uh, just listing bonds for making money. We haven't lost any of the investors' money as yet. Some of the other OBPPs have seen some defaults. Why there is a separate demat account to be opened to opt for Wintwealth platform bonds? Please consider linking existing demat account. We consider it creates a lot of problems. So as of now, we have decided to stay with our own demat account. As the overall ecosystem mature, we might consider it, right? And there are many features that we can only offer if you have demat account with us, like liquidity, better tracking, better etc. Sometimes and like bunch of features, right? So we basically decided to take that call. In future, we may enable this, but like it could take couple of years because ecosystem has to mature. How much is your fees in bond purchase? Is it fixed or variable based on bond? So it is variable. On an average, it is about 1.2%, right? Across all the bonds that we bring in. Some bonds we have done really less at 5-10 basis point also. Some bond probably at higher rate. But average it will be about 1.2. Deposit returned by RBI in case of bankruptcy, will it be differ between PSU banks, private bank? What is the maximum returned by RBI in both categories? It is up to 5 lakh in regardless of the type of the bank. But it has to be covered under deposit insurance scheme. Even small finance bank are covered, right? And only bank FDs are covered, not NBFC FDs. Why can't you make practice of mentioning coupon rate, which is general practice? IRR is misleading for retail investors. I think, in our opinion, XRR is the general practice. That's why we follow it, and that's the right way to measure the asset, right? In fact, I would always look at XRR as the metric to invest in anything personally. Also. Crazy Bee is now selling at 99,800, around a discount of 200 rupees. Is this because of poor company performance? I haven't been tracking Crazy Bee, but I haven't heard any negative news. If there was anything negative, I would have known, right? We have invested in these bonds. Anuj, why it is tracking at less than 1 lakh rupees?
Because the interest is due, I think on 16th. So it is after record date. So that is why that discount is being seen.
Oh.
But there is no poor company performance as such.
So yeah, so it is because the interest is kind of is paid, and so now the price of security has come down. What is the total capital being raised by UGRO in this asset issue?
So it's basically a secondary bond that is available in the secondary market. So when the UGRO has actually issued that bond, it has raised about 150 crores in total. Now we have got told like we got 7 crores at good yield, which we could bring for our investors to invest in. So they are currently eligible to invest up to 7 crores.
Can I bring in bonds bought elsewhere to track on Mint? Yes, you can use our demat account. It won't cost any charges. Is it kept in demat in Mint? Demat is held with NSDL. So once it goes into demat, it is the NSDL's repository, right? How does a bond determine when they are going to pay interest? Okay, we already answered this. Ajinkya, off topic. Can we expect a new scheme of Wind Capital Bond next month? Yes. How many number of maximum bond that one can be procured of this NBFC? It doesn't matter across like bond exposure for just because you invest in two bonds of same NBFC, it doesn't diversify. It is basically the same NBFC risk. So rather than maximum number of bond, you should limit the amount that you invest in single NBFC bond. I have already requested to change background of the app. Also make it more user friendly. Is there any consideration on it? I will check, but if you're given that feedback, it must have reached our design team, product design team, and they must have looked into it. And they will implement what they think is right. I'm not really sure of the feedback, so I can't really comment. There is stress becoming increasingly visible in NBFC portfolios, especially MSME and microfinance business. How are you monitoring this to ensure that there is no default? And if you sense there could be default, how can you timely safeguard the investor interest? Are there clauses that can be used at your end? Anuj, you want to answer this?
Sure. So yeah, you are correct that there is some stress in the NBFC portfolios, not only in NBFC portfolios, but even bank portfolios, specifically related to microfinance business because of some reasons like elections, heat wave, some pockets being closed because of elections, so on. So currently, the bonds that we are bringing have low tenure, typically ranging between 18 to 24 months, wherein we see that there will not, we expect that there will not be any default. Yes, there will be some stress, but till the time the entities have their own capital, they are able to abide by that governance that are kept in that particular bond. So we do not particularly see in any stress in those bonds. Um, and we have a team also, as Ajinkya mentioned, who regularly monitors the performance of the entities and uh, do visits wherever necessary. So, as such, currently we do not see any default. We do not expect any default for our entities that we have offered on the platform. And yes, there are some clauses. So, if the entity say breaches any covenant that is there, for example, if the GNP increases, which is above certain threshold that is kept in the documents of that bond, then they will have to prepay.
Hi, Wintwell, 10.5% XRR meant the exact return after realignment on the investment we make. Does this bond pay any principal back, or it is bullet principal?
It is a bullet bond.
Then XRR will be in the range of ROI only, right?
Yes, but since it's a 10 less than 12 months, so because there is accrued interest, but yeah, it will be more or less in the similar range.
Why my demat Zerodha on Win12 changes to other demat of its own? I didn't understand this question. Please elaborate and we'll be happy. And if this is a very specific question, I don't even probably know the answer. I'm gonna we can answer about the bond and in general the platform. This is a very specific question. Do ping us on our customer success on WhatsApp or hello@wintwell.com so that we can answer. How can I join for tomorrow's purchase? You can simply download app, complete KYC, and tomorrow when the bond goes live, you can purchase. Which industry GRO's main lending business in, where the maximum revenue share lies, or is this lending business industry agnostic?
So they operate there's no it's industry agnostic, but they operate in select sectors like education, chemical, and sort of thing, sectors. They have identified 9 sectors in which they particularly lend.
What about monthly or quarterly SIPs for bonds? Can this be expected? Yes, you can definitely expect. We are working on it. Why does the bond price fluctuate before the percentage of the bond is sold? So it as because of accrued interest, it changes on the daily basis. I don't think that it will fluctuate within a day, right? Within that particular day, there will be two price. That has never happened, Anuj, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Within the day, it will never. But if a record date is there, then definitely there might be a significant fluctuation, but otherwise it won't.
Opening FD is bit tedious process, entering all details since Vint already has this detail like my PAN. Can these be added automatically? I wish so, but regulations don't allow. So you have to fill in yourself. Are SDIs better than bonds? Why does Vintwell bring any SDIs? SDI is a bit complicated product, so you can't really comment uh, just basis are they better. We plan to bring SDIs very soon. But again, I mean, we think it's a good product for mature bond investor, not first-time bond investors. So, like, if you are a first-time bond investor, SDI is a little complex product, in my opinion. If the NBFC is return 33% of the capital in 3 months, why do they even issue bonds in first place? How does it profit them? So they keep raising. So those are terms, right? So probably in 3 months they will again raise. That's how it works, right? So generally, even if you, let's say, take any loan, the repayment of principal also start from next month, right? I get that you think 33% in 3 months is high, but these NBFC keep on issuing capital. So generally, what happens is NBFCs issue bonds as per their, and then the bond repayments mirror their loans profile also, right? So NBFCs which have 7-year loans will try to raise bonds for 7 years. NBFCs which give 1-year loan will try to raise bonds for one year, right? So that's a general practice everybody adheres to. Ideal leverage is 2:1. Are we okay with 6x leverage? And are we giving them room for GNPA or an NPA on AUM being 5% and 3% respectively?
Yes. So ideally, the leverage range is 2:1, but we have seen over the past few years, the company has not gone beyond 3.5x. But there can be some scenarios wherein the entity wants to go above 3.5x because they are in the process of raising equity. So that is why the covenant that has been kept is 6x leverage. But in the past, looking at the past history, say 4 years, entity has not gone beyond 3.5x. On the GNPA and NNPA point, currently it's one of the best in the industry. The room is there because in case if any situation arises wherein, say, which is not within the control of the entity, say any market, any event risk, any demonetization. So it should not happen that due to that 2-3 months event, the company has to prepay or is in breach of covenant. So that is where the room is.
After maturity period is hit, how to sell bonds? You don't have to do anything. After maturity period hit, money comes to you. You don't have to find buyer or anything. You don't have to do anything. Money will come to your bank. Is there a way to remove TDS charge? As I don't come under TDS tax bracket, you have to file 15GH. You can ping us and we will help you with that. Can I also pay through debit card also for the payment? Anush, technically one can pay through debit card, but have we enabled this?
No, currently this is not enabled. It's not allowed by the exchanges or the clearing corporation currently.
Is the collateral SME loans granted to end borrower secured?
So it's a mix of secured and unsecured. When we say secured, it's secured by property, residential or commercial, but it's a mix. It would be generally 60-40%. 60 secured, 40 unsecured.
How can we get STC statements for Windwell? When after March, we actually make a consolidated statement for the year and send it to you. If you are someone who pays advance tax and therefore need these statements, please ping us and we'll share that with you. GRO Capital portfolio mentions lending to micro businesses, small loans in select sectors. Can you please mention these sectors which your team discovered during diligence?
Yeah. So some of the sectors are like light engineering, which includes toys and games, doors, making doors and shelves, home appliances. Others are small shops, retail, dairy, agri. Then there is educational loans. So yeah, these are some of the sectors that Yugan majorly operates.
Now, since Windwell mandates to open Demat account with Windwell only, are there any charges for that? No charges, no opening charges, no MC charges. What are the efficiencies for investor due to this? So you can track better, you can sell really, really fast. We imagine that you can sell and get money in 1 hour in your bank account. Right. And then there are further benefit of that. We are also trying to add family function, right, SIP function, and bunch of functions. I mean, like you will keep hearing every quarter or two we are launching new features. Liquidity is something we are launching very soon. I'm a beginner who is trying to learning these things. Where can I get all knowledge regarding bonds? So we did this webinar. You can simply Google. Books are not great because this field has been changing. You can see some of the content on Win12 YouTube channel also. But if you Google, you will get bunch of articles. We have created bunch of articles also on Win12 website. When will HUF KYC process will be enabled on Win12? Earlier, I was able to create HUF account with Win12. It is in process. We'll figure we are figuring it out. As you mentioned before, bringing any bond on Win12, you do a background check of the company. Is it possible to check anywhere what background check you have done? So when we do webinar, we share our analysis. We co-invest, and as Anuj mentioned that we can't really share that on public. But do we publish any report on entity?
No, we do not publish any report, Ajinkya, but some of the concerns and the like positive factors we do mention on the asset page. So this is the analysis that we have done.
Yes. What is meaning of senior secured bonds? So senior secured bonds come like they're senior, they're secured in the sense that there is some collateral. Senior, that means in case of bankruptcy proceedings, they're they are the first, they get first priority. So if you are the senior secured bonder, you get first priority in repayments. Ajinkya needs a mic as he's hardly audible. Anuj, you are able to hear me, right?
Yeah, loud and clear.
His sound is echoing. Okay, that might be a concern. I'm really sorry for it. I'm actually traveling, so I'm at a different place. I generally don't operate out of here. Why only NBFC bonds? So we will do other than NBFC bonds also, but we think NBFC is one coherent sector, good enough depth of capital, and because money is a raw material, you get better returns for the risk that you take. You said it's 18 months. Now, no, it's 12 months, brother. As I could see in Windwell, what is the confusion? This is actually and at maturity, which means next 2 months, both interest principal will be back. Is that it? What is the tenure of
So,
this bond?
so total tenure is around 18 months, but the original principal repayment frequency is annually and at maturity. So the next interest payment will be in Feb 2025 and then in August 2025, which is the maturity date when the principal will be also paid.
Earlier, we were able to purchase bond anytime on wind, but now only 9 a.m. to 3:30 working days. Why? No, no, you can purchase even today 24/7. You can go and purchase right now also. Bonds that are already live. How are returns calculated for bonds? For MF, it is quite straightforward with XRR and CAGR, but bond seems to be quite confusing. So use XRR formula. You can see repayments. You put it in Excel and simply put XRR formula, and XRR is the right way to uh, XRR is right way to check the bond returns. Bring customer quota and IPO. Whenever the IPO happens, definitely, right? If LIC can have, why not Windwealth, right? I mean, obviously, it is subject to regulatory approval, and our IPO is not that. It's not like we have filed DHRP and everything. We're pretty far, but I appreciate, and we will whenever we do IPO in 4 or 5 years, we definitely will have customer quota. Investing in bond is good or FD is best? See, you have to take that call. But I now, like, what bothers me is FDs don't provide inflation beating returns. In bonds, obviously, you have to take a risk. But if you invest in good bonds where risk is managed well, mitigated well, you can enjoy returns. Right. So there is no one answer for all. If you are not okay with risk, you should not invest in bond. If you're okay with risk, you can consider bonds. Are there any other investment instruments other than bonds and FDs that you plan to introduce? We plan to introduce HDIs. What else? We will do REITs, InvITs. But look, like, it's not like they will replace bonds and FDs. Everything has a meaning in a portfolio, and diversification is the key thing, right? So all of these things are additive. Just because, and we have been very vocal about it also. Just because we bring bonds, we still say that if for creation of long-term wealth, equity is the way. Equity is very important, right? That doesn't mean that you should not invest in bonds. If you have to diversify your portfolio, every asset brings some value on the table. If that value is important to you, you can invest in that asset. But yes, we will bring SDIs, we will bring couple of more assets classes. Are NBFC bonds safer or non-financial company bonds safer? You can't really compare that way. You have to look into a bunch of other factors, saying what is the collateral, what is the rating, what is the leverage, what is the financial health. It depends from business to business. You can't simply say that NBFC bonds are safer or non-NBFC bonds are safer. While I wanted to invest on GRO bond, the accrued interest on this one is very high. I get this concern, and I will discuss with the team saying how can we do better on this. I get it because 2 months have passed, so therefore the accrued interest is high. ICFD option by NBFCs like Bajaj Finserv. Can NBFC raise money without bonds? Then what is the difference between private banks and NBFC? Only few NBFCs are allowed to have FDs. Mahindra is there, Bajaj is there, Shriram is there. But RBI has now stopped that. I don't think in recent past anybody got a license to like any NBFC got a license to have raise FDs. Right, it is on its way out. These NBFCs will have it, but I don't think beyond that. Hey, can I be allowed to see something? Please type in. If it is relevant, we'll pick it up and answer. Can you explain CRAR covenant once more, please? And how does it add security feature to this GRO asset?
So I will take this. So basically, the company needs to maintain its own equity when it provides, say, some loans. Say, for example, if it provides a loan of 100 rupees, it has to put in at least 15 rupees of its from its own pocket, which RBI mandates. So in case if out of 100 rupees, if say 2 rupees or 3 rupees or 5 rupees defaults, then that will be first taken hit out of that 15 rupees. The balance 85, which it has sourced from the other borrowings, will remain secure. So this CRAR basically helps protect the investors in case of any losses in the portfolio accrue.
I tried registering for NSDL's PD, but I'm being asked to submit a form for application of ideas. Can you give me small brief if all customers have to do it? So you don't have to do it. It's not mandatory. So when you open account on Windwealth, you open your Demat account also with NSDL. You can see holdings in Windwealth app only. If you want to independently verify it, then you have to download NSDL. And without having an account with NSDL affiliated broker like us, or there are many, you can't. I don't think it's very. I think it's very difficult to create account on SDL directly. You have to create account with a broker like us or online bond platform like us, and then you can check that holdings on NSDL. I bought UGRO bonds last February. If I didn't have my email ID or mobile number, how could I get money when they mature? So they are already in dematerialized format. When you open demat account, you submit bank details. So the money will flow to that bank account that is connected with your demat. And if the market value of bond is 1,05,000, when they mature, will I get principal amount or the market value, or will I get the market value plus interest? So you get, at maturity, you get principal and accrued interest and the interest that is promised by the EA. The market value is for trading. It has nothing to do with what company pays at the time of maturity. Company pays fixed amount, that is your principal and interest as promised. Can we separate accrued interest and received interest? We pay accrued interest upfront. However, this is not actual interest earned. When we 100 rupees credited in the first payment, might be some amount is not actual, and we earn. Anush, did you understand this question?
Not completely, Ajinkya. It seems there's some confusion in the understanding between the accrued interest that the investor pays at the time of investment and the actual interest that is received. So that accrued interest is part of that total interest that they receive. But if you want any bifurcation or calculation, we will be happy to assist. You can reach out to us on our WhatsApp.
There are some questions regarding bond IPOs. In future, definitely we will bring bond IPOs. We are just reevaluating if that infrastructure is good enough. Earlier, we have seen a lot of problems with it, but we will revisit it. You said you don't charge any money from investors. Then what is the wind margin component we see while investing? Where is that component?
So I think that is in the investment
Yeah.
product.
So, okay, got it. I got it. So what we meant is that the X error that you see is after all these charges, right? And we don't charge anything separately to the customer, right? But yes, we do make money, and ultimately that either comes from customer or NBFCs. I had zero understanding of investment in bonds 3 years back. Thanks to Vint Education Initiative, currently 70% of my fixed income portfolio is in bonds, NCDs, SDR, much higher yields than FD and debt funds. Your emphasis on risk has ensured I diversify and limit exposure to one NBFC. Thanks for that. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Parag Mehtaji. Great compliment. Thank you. In other platforms, UGRO bond IPO is available, which I can directly pay 10K. Here I'm investing through Vint. I need to pay accrued interest. So asking why to invest through Vint. Is that IPO still open?
Yeah, it came last week only. It's a new IPO that has come up, and it's going on till 23rd.
That's a different.
But,
Yeah.
yes, that's a different IPO, altogether new IPO, and the minimum tenure of that bond is 18 months. It starts from 18 months, 24 months, 30 months. So the bond that we have offered on the Windwealth platform, it's at a similar return, but for a 10 to 11 months tenure.
And that the current bond will have?
It's that 18 months will have about 10.6%.
Got it. Okay. This question was asked by Rahul. I had marked it red. It is my mistake. I thought this is a related question to bonds IPO only, but this is a bit different question. My apologies. I missed it earlier. I hope it is answered now, Rahul. If not, just ping us again and we will answer. Since Wintwell gives chance to take out FD in Unity Small Finance Bank, I have a related question. I tried opening a savings account, but website is not allowing new account openings. Does it mean bank is under stress? Is it still safe to invest in? The bank is definitely not under stress. There must be some tech lag, tech issue or something that must have created a problem. We will fix. We are anyway in fixing it. But there is definitely no problem at the bank end. And we are also working to bring Unity Small Finance FD where you don't have to open savings account. I thought this was executive transfer, so would you good if you answer all the questions? Yeah, Rahul noted. I'm sorry about that. I had missed the question. Hi, hey Anuj, when can we find list of these remaining industries or sector that you grow primary lends into?
So you can see that on its website or separately in the prospectus or the information memorandum for the bond. If you don't find it, you can definitely reach out to us. We will assist.
How is the feedback on process flow for new FD when it will be available for everyone? We are rolling out to more and more people. I think Suryodaya is already rolled out to majority of the people. Unity, Shivalik is also going live soon. Unity is already live. Unity without savings bank account will take another 2-3 months. Probably little less or little more than that. How's the feedback? Yes, the feedback is good. The problem is regulatory wise that process flow looks a bit longer, but we can't do much since the banks decide and the regulators decide in particular fashion. But the response is good. What is the lock-in period for the bond and fixed ROI? So there is no lock-in period. You can sell provided there is a buyer. Generally, bond has a maturity date. At that date, basically the issuer pays you back, but there is no lock-in period. You can theoretically you can buy bond today and sell it tomorrow, as long as there is a buyer. I have asked two questions regarding HF account. HF soon it will be. I can't commit on dates. TDS exemption, just ping us. We will tell you which NBFCs accept 15G and 15H, and we'll help you submit that form and get that your account marked. On a broader side, we want 15GH to be applied at a PAN card level across all the DMATs, all brokers, all NBFCs with just one form. We have pushed our request to regulators. We'll see what happens. Any plans for SDI post-event capital? You had earlier said that will be offered. When can we expect SDI? In 2-3 months, probably time. We are also figuring out how to bring it more in most. So how do you measure risk and what is the return? That's what we are looking at. But yes, in 2-3 months time, we think we should bring SDIs. So we're just focusing on rolling out liquidity feature fund bonds and making that clean and making it roll out. Then we'll pick up the next thing. Anuj, are you there or your video is stuck, I guess? Earlier, I was able to get interest monthly. Is it no longer available as an option on Wind? No. So this feedback was there in the last webinar also. We will figure ways to, get monthly interest bond options also. Are you selling gilt bonds? No, not as of now. Let's say invest 10K now. After a few months, can I add more money to my investment? Yes, you can. If not in this bond, to other bonds. And this NBFC, in fact, for UGRO, I remember we doing first issue in June or May 21, so little more than 3 years back, right? So we keep bringing, if the NBFC financial health is good, we keep bringing these NBFC bonds again. But so don't worry about it. You should start small if you are new. Under your FDs, Unity Small Finance Bank has to come up with multiple language KYC. Currently only Hindi and English. What will happen for some senior citizen who wants in Telugu or Kannada? Feedback taken. We'll share it with bank. Okay. We will definitely share with bank. I wasn't aware of. Thank you. I see same issuer bond selling at other platform with higher XRR than Mint. Why the XRR is low here? Uh, I'm not really sure if the bond is exactly the same. They might keep lower margin or like, so different platforms will have different margins. We sell some bonds at higher yield also. Uh, Again, also we also do co-invest. We do far deeper diligence and their cost involved also, right? So therefore, if this business has to work, we have to also have margins and we price it accordingly. Do bonds have specific return? Yes. If so, why to calculate XRR? How to take percentage return value in our portfolio? Why XRR? So you exactly know how much return you are gonna make. How to take percentage return value in our portfolio? That I didn't understand this question. Could you elaborate this question? We'll take it. How to get TDS detail for the bond filing taxes? We share it. You see it in 26 AS also. Right, Anush? Is there any other way?
No, these are the two ways that the investor can see the TDS.
Any of the bond defaulted did this? No, none of these bond listed on the platform have defaulted till date. I've been investing in bonds since 2021, almost every month, and most of the bonds. How much of my bond portfolio can I invest in particular company bond? Understand you won't recommend want to know thumb rule if any. You should invest in like you should ideally 5 to 10. Not ideally you should not invest more than 5 to 10% of bond portfolio in one NBFC, right? More the better, but for like should not be more than 10%. Is again a thumb rule, right? Nothing as advice. I personally would do that. What is the margin charged by Vint on bond? How is it calculated? So we make about 1% on different like 1.2%. So in some bonds it is lower, some bond it is little higher. How it is calculated, we just figured out like what are the bonds coming, where can we make more margins, how can we pass more to investor. We also need some money to run the business, right, and make profit. Yes. How safe is my investment via Wind platform? Platform is safe, but obviously you're making an investment, you are taking risk. It is not 100% guaranteed. Otherwise, it would be government security and the returns will be very low, right? So you are taking risk, but as a platform, we are safe. We are SEBI regulated, right? Uh, and money, when you actually buy unit, the money directly goes to exchange. It doesn't come to us. We give unit to exchange and exchanges give unit to you and give us money, right? So that investment process is super safe, super smooth, right? Previously, you had mentioned that Wind doesn't charge anything from the customer and all the commission is taken from the issuer. Now you are mentioning it is included in XRR and not separate thing. So let me again clarify this. This bond mentions XRR of 10.5%, right? You get that XRR after all the charges or ETC, everything, right? So we don't take anything from this 10.5. What I meant is when you see whatever XRR that we show, 10.5, 11.5, 10, 9, whatever it is after all the charges, right? Sometimes we charge issuer directly, sometimes we buy bond at a lower price and then sell it at a higher price. So that's where the Wind commission is there. We don't charge anything to clients. What we mean from charging clients is you invested. Let's say for punching order, if you charge you 20 rupees, then that's a charge that I'm charging to customer. In that sense, we don't charge anything to the customer. Any bond defaulted till date? No, there hasn't been default. Since HUF account process is not supported, why don't Wintwell support a legacy process of third-party demat account at least for HUF until you start HUF KYC process? Due to heavy taxation, HUF is the only way to get good post-tax return. I agree. We are figuring out a way. If we have to see, I mean, ideally we would want to do it, but there is certain tech infrastructure that you have to build, right? Even if you allow third-party bonds, etc., etc. And again, we are regulated, so we have to follow lot of these procedures and etc. So a better, easy process would for us will be to allow people to open HF. That we are already working on. When we are working for family account, we think HF should be also enabled, and it's also in the process, right? So we are already there. So third party, there are so many challenges with it, and not at our level. I think at an ecosystem level, a lot of things have to be enabled, which are not there currently. When that happens, we will figure that out. For now, HF will figure out when we can do it, because HF will definitely do it. Bajaj Finserv NBFC has FD as well. What is the difference between NBFC bonds and NBFC FDs? Both look similar. NBFC FDs are unsecured, right, and they are not covered under deposit insurance scheme. But yes, the Bajaj and ETC, some of these issuers are AAA rated. So the NBFCs, the FDs are secure in that sense, but they are not covered under the deposit insurance scheme, and these are unsecured in nature. NBFC bonds can be senior secured, so there is a collateral, right? But again, even NBFC bonds are not covered under deposit insurance scheme. I am not able to find. Okay, where did this question? Oh, the question said I'm not able to find my DPID and ETC. You can see it in your profile section. If I'm falling under tax slab, is it possible to claim TDS? Yes, you can claim TDS while you file taxes. Any plans to list Wintwealth in market? Yes, but like that's a very long-term plan, right? It will probably take 5-6 years. But yes, there is a plan. Sir, return value of bonds are slightly varying on monthly basis, means returns are not fixed. So how to calculate return value from these bonds in our portfolio? Anuj, how, like, help me understand this question. Are
So I think,
the
yeah, so let me take this. So what happens is, say, GRO bond, we brought it in, say, August, because when we bring it on in August, so we secured it from the market. We bought it from the market and then sold it to the platform, to the investors on the platform. Now, again, when we are bringing GRO bond now, say tomorrow, so we again bought it from the market and selling it. So each time we are buying it and then selling it to the investors. So the price at which we buy in might differ. And since that differ, that's why the return to investors might also slightly differ in the subsequent launch.
most of the NCD issued by NBFC, then 10% exposure is possible. If you look at different NBFCs, then 10% is possible. So what I meant is like you should invest in bond of 10 bonds of different NBFCs. Let's say XRR is 10%. When will my returns for 10K invested in particular bond? Okay. So this bond is, you invest, let's say investment amount is 10,069 rupees. You get after 1 year, you get after 10 months, you get about little less than 10%. Yeah, more little 10% as interest. And another 6 months, you get another 53 rupees, which is 5% for six months. You get interest and then principal, right? So you totally get 163 rupees on an investment of 1,070 rupees, 1,069 rupees, right? What if Wintwealth stops working one day? I mean the website. Yes. So your securities are still safe. That those are with NSDL. NSDL is a repository that is regulated and licensed by SEBI. So even if Wintwealth goes away, you can your investments are safe. That risk is not on Wintwell platform. You don't need to worry about that. You can see your securities. You can sell your securities in through NSDL app also. Should one invest in NBFC FD of or same companies? NBFC bond, which is more secure. NBFC, if the NBFC is same, then NBFC bond is much better. Secured bond is much better than NBFC FD. Because NBFC FD is unsecured in nature. Both are not covered under deposit insurance scheme. But you can't really compare of NBFC FD of one NBFC and NBFC bond of other NBFC. I am a senior citizen invested in bond and never ever filed IT returns till now. So from next 1 year onwards, I need to file is my question. If you submit, so if you invest in bonds of NBFC which accept 15 GNH, then you can file those forms and then you don't need to, your TDS won't be cut. But yes, if you invest in a bond where TDS is cut, then from next year you have to file the return. Uh, for bond return, if bond return is the only return gonna be part of the return, then we obviously have give you one sheet that will make the tax filing easy. But yes, if your TDS is cut, claim that you have to file tax. Why Wintwell bond came few days back had a below A rating. The rating agencies take a view based on bunch of things. One is obviously how much capital is there, and also vintage. Wintwell is a very new NBFC. We started operations about as an NBFC. We started operation in October, November last year, so it's not even 1 year old NBFC. Right, as portfolio matures, as the company grows, the rating upgrades will happen. But even for such a new NBFC, triple B minus, which is investment grade rating itself is uh, it is not that common that I can tell you. It is testament to the team and the quality of business. Can we expect daily interest credit? Because when I have where we have option to buy or sell bonds, we expect interest credit on daily basis. At least interest is paid till we hold bonds. No, that will make it cumbersome. But so if you sell, then let's say you buy a bond today, tomorrow that bond price will increase by the accrued interest rate. So you sell that bond at a little bit of higher price, and then you little bit of higher price, and then you get that accrued interest rate as a principal. There is not a need of a daily interest rate credit. I think what ideally government should do is remove TDS because that makes secondary trading even more difficult. Any bond defaulted date? No. Just a moment. How Wintwell planning to manage key personal risk at the NBFC level or at the UGRO level? At the UGRO level, how are you looking at that risk, Anuj?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. I think. Can you repeat?
Key personal risk.
Of the UGRO.
Oh, I think he just clarified at event level. Oh, okay. I think on a asset level, we have a pretty robust team now. In risk team only, we have about 8 people, say 4 senior and 4 junior. Then another 4 people on the origination side, who basically talk with NBFCs, crack deals, and also they have sense of market about pricing and risk and in general bunch of other things. So there are robust processes, right, at the asset level. So that is pretty much sorted. There is no key personal risk. Obviously, going forward, I mean, for existing bond, there is no key personal risk. Going forward, which asset class to bring, how to run that function smoothly on how to grow that function, there is a key personal risk, but that is always there in the business, right? I mean, you can't really escape that beyond the point. But for existing bonds we bring on the platform, there is no key personal risk at Vint level. How is buying and selling process takes place? Can we sell the bond at any time, or is there a minimum time before we can sell bonds? No, you can sell it anytime. Theoretically, like soon you will probably buy today and sell tomorrow, right? You have to have it in your account, and then you can. When does the security come into demat account, Anuj?
It's on the immediate next working day.
Okay, so it has to be there in your demat account. So probably you need to wait till next day, right? And then you can sell it once it hits your demat. How does one decide between SGBs from secondary market with gold Bs? SGBs are trading at too much premium, so no right answer, to be frank. If there was no premium at SGBs, probably SGB is very no-brainer compared to gold Bs, but no right answer as of now. There are so many people outside who don't have much knowledge about bonds. What step is Wintwealth taking to increase concept of bond, because that increases customer and investor on your platform? Yes, we have been doing webinar, we have been doing a lot of content, right? We were running referral program. Unfortunately, we had to close it or pause it because of the regulators' instructions. We hope it comes back in soon. We are doing many more campaigns to actually make investors aware. I know there are options of investing in FDs on Wintel, which give around 9%, but we still can only invest up to 5 lakh. So if you want to invest more than 5 lakh, there are not much option available on FD. So does Wintwell plan to bring bonds which are in the range of 9% and are less riskier than 10-11% bond? Uh, I agree with that question, saying how can you invest more than 5 lakh in these small finance bank FDs? So we are enabling more and more small finance banks. So already Unity is live, Suryoday is live. Shialik is going live, and a couple of more banks are in the pipeline, right? So we already have 5 banks, right? That will cover a sizable chunk, and then we will see from there. 9% bonds, we think, unless they're too short tenure, there is no traction that we see on the platform, but we'll keep trying. We have done some bonds. Anuj, we have done Muthoot ka ek bond, right? At 7.5 or 8% something.
Yes, around 8%, even 9%. But that again, very short tenure bonds. And we also believe that it does not add very valuation to the customer's portfolio because we have government guaranteed FDs. So yeah, that's a philosophy, but we are not bringing more of such bonds.
During the selling process, how does the interest rate will be applied? Will the value be computed based on pre-fixed bond interest rate? So it is between seller and buyer, but there will be some fair value depicting the accrued interest rate that will indicate. Buyer might ask for some discount, 1 or 2%, or if the bond is, let's say, very close to maturity, right? Let's say if you bought this GRO bond and for maturity just 3 months are remaining, then a buyer might be okay just taking 9% interest on it also. In that case, you will earn higher price than fair interest, but it will be somewhere closer to fair price. 1 or 2% here and there is what we imagine. We'll see how it evolves, right? But interest rate will be applied on the accrued interest. Can I pledge bonds on Wintwell platform as collateral and take loans? If yes, where and how? Not as of now. In future, hopefully yes, but not as of now. Suppose I have bought small finance bank FD or RD, can I redeem on bank app or physical bank? Not sure of the bank app, but physical app bank, definitely yes. Where can I sell bonds before maturity? I don't see any options. We are rolling it out slowly to certain users. If you want to sell, just ping us on WhatsApp or hello@wintwell.com. We'll figure it out. Can I have 1 or 2 option to invest with a AA or similar rating, 10 or even 9.5% bonds? AA 9, 10.5 होगा क्या अनुज ऐसा कोई?
We may be able to bring it 1 or 2 such bonds, but it will not be a regular. It will not be available very regularly. we can definitely try. We'll pass on this feedback to our team and try to bring such bonds. But it will, as per our experience, it will not be a regular phenomenon.
Oh, good. Mm. If there are no sellers in between, will the mature value with prefixed tax interest rate will be applied and given to investor? Yes, at the time of maturity, you will receive that. One big problem with Wintwell bonds are that they are not good at compounding. For example, interest I get doesn't get reinvested and it's a manual process. Is there an automated process where interest or interest plus principal gets reinvested in bond available at Wintwell? Yes, we are working on that. It will take us 2-3 months, but we already picked it up. This is something very high impact, and we understand that this is a major concern. Saying you have to keep coming back. If I decide, okay, I'm fine with this NBFC or this bond, please allow me to invest. But yes, it will be available soon. When I buy a bond of 10,000, 1,000 rupees and the price got hiked to 1,060, I understand that interest will be for 1,000 rupees, and while returning principal, 1,000 will be with interest will come. What happened to 60 rupees extra that got hiked? So that will also come to my account? No, it will not come to your account. But so therefore, the right way to measure is how much you invested and how much you got back and what is the interest you got. So that is this XIRR concept that you will get 10.5. What was the original XIRR of this bond, Anuj?
It's 10.75 when it got initially issued.
Got it.
And I think just to correct, so that 60 rupees in this example that Mr. Krishnan has mentioned. So yeah, you will get back when you receive the money, but there will be might slight TDS that will be deducted on this, but you will definitely get back. So for example, if the total interest is 100 rupees, for which you have paid 60 now, so you will get 60 rupees plus 40 for the period you are holding. In total, you will get 100 rupees.
Because this is accrued interest, you will actually get that.
Yes, correct.
Yes, so you will actually get 1,060 rupees. Can you bring 54 EC capital bond senior citizen scheme on platform? That's a very good session. We'll think about it. In fact, we had looked at it, saying how can we, because these are easy bonds and brokers also get some 20 basis commission on that. And we said, can we pass that commission also to our customers? Some offers like enhanced interest returns for bonds. Should we believe these offers for investment decision in bond? Please elaborate precautions to consider while taking investment decisions through such platform. Why should I choose your platform only for bond investment when available on other platform also? Please elaborate. Fair question. See, ultimately you are taking risk on the issuer, not on the platform. So that is number one. What we do is we simplify, we do diligence, we co-invest so that investors can build confidence. We provide that added layer. Obviously, investors have to still make that decision. If the platform doesn't do enough diligence and sells you asset and you invest in that asset, one such bad asset can kill all the returns, right? So that is the benefit we bring on the platform. We bring on the table, right? Does that mean you should not invest on other platform? Your choice. I mean, I can't really recommend on it, right? But why we are different is we co-invest, we do due diligence, and then only bring on the platform, right? And therefore, like you will see zero defaults on Win platform. In some other platform, we have seen defaults, right? And that is because of our processes, etc. And that is the value we bring to the table. That is on the asset side. Now on the product side also, our bonds are going to be much more liquid. You could sell them easily, right? You will get more access. Most of these bonds are available at lower ticket sizes on our platform. So there are various benefits that we provide, right? Does that mean we are the best and we are the best? Obviously, I mean, I even if I claim that, you have to decide for yourself, right? But we think we are doing a pretty good job, especially on protecting investors and making sure to bring right assets, and also providing right, right product features, so that the customers' investment decisions, everything becomes easier. If I have to sell FD, we purchase on Win12 through Unity. If you want to liquidate, we can we go to any branch of Unity, or we have to go to the branch of FD opened in. You can go to any branch and you can actually liquidate online. You don't even need to go to branch. That answer what somebody asked saying, can I go to branch and liquidate it? Yes, you can, but you can do it online also. Why don't I see SGBs on Win12? There hasn't been much primary issuances happening. We have done SGB secondary, but premiums are high, so it doesn't make sense. Whenever primary issuances start, I think we will bring it, but we don't see a lot of primary issuances happening. Can I invest in bonds from credit card? No, you can't. Regulation basically mandates you can't invest money by using credit cards. Yes. There is XRR given along the bond details for every bond. When I calculate XRR using Excel, the rate that I get is lesser. Why is that? Do I calculate XRR in Excel before or after TDS? Before TDS, right? TDS is tax paid, tax deducted at source. But if you calculate before TDS, that is the XRR you should get. If you get different XRR, do let us know. We will be happy to get on a call and rectify. Kya kamal hai? I got it. That 60 will also be added. Good. Okay. Okay. That was the answer. Can you please enable filter in dashboard so that we can know the current value of investment for each NBFC, sort based on due dates in bond, sort based on high to low value of investment made by investors. Okay. I'll share this feedback with the product team. Just sharing it right away so that it doesn't. Yes. I've shared that with you. How TDS works when I sell or buy bonds? Anush, can you clarify on this?
Why the price is 1068 and not 1000?
No. How TDS works when I sell or buy bonds?
So when you buy the bonds, so in case if any interest payment is received during the tenure you are holding the bond, then 10% TDS will be deducted by the issuer, which will be reflecting in the Form 26 AS, and you can claim it while filing your tax returns. So in case, so for example, you are falling in the 20% tax bracket, so 10% TDS will be deducted when the issuer pays the interest to you, and additional 10% of tax will be paid by you when you file the bonds. And when you sell the bonds, there is no TDS as such during the selling that takes place. Right? It's the consideration price that you receive from the buyer.
Why the price is 1068 and not 1000 rupees?
So I think this is the accrued interest that has got added. So 1000 is the face value, and 1068 is the accrued interest that has been that is arrived after adding the accrued interest. 1000 plus 68 rupees. Plus there is some portion of the margin that Wint has kept as its spread while selling the bond at 10.5%.
Please use Hindi language sometimes. That will definitely do. Fincare never come back. So Fincare got acquired by EU Finance Bank, right? So there was no point on building that infrastructure because EU rates are on the lower side compared to other banks. So we prioritize other banks. So Unity, Suryodaya, Shivalik, and two more small finance banks, which offer you higher side of the interest. What way this bond is different from chit fund? Does this come under NBFC and regulated by SEBI guideline? Yes. Chit funds is a very different product, very risky, very prone to fraud. Right? Bonds are much more regulated and much more. In fact, listed bonds are have to follow SEBI regulation also, and NBFC regulation also, right? So they're much better in my opinion, but obviously it's my chit funds. We've seen a lot of frauds, etc. I don't think chit fund companies are regulated by RBI, or they.
No, they are not regulated by RBI.
They're not regulated RBI, so that's the biggest risk. Sir, I'm new. I'm worried about safety. Can you explain about safety of bonds? So we discussed that at the start of the webinar. Do ping us. We'll share the recording of the webinar so you can go through all this. Uh, you can understand risk, how safe are these bonds, what are risk involved, how are this risk managed, etc. We keep doing this webinar, so you can join next webinar also, or just ping us and we'll send you a recording of this webinar also. Right. And start small, right? That's a right way to start. Please highlight the point on website that you mentioned just now about why went well, price wise and product wise. Fair enough. Thank you for the feedback. I will look into it. One question, it might sound awkward. See if I can give you example. Take example of Spandana Spurti bond. In that case, XR is 11%, then distribution RM gets 3 to 5%. So if I'm buying from your platform, can I advantage because there is no relationship manager? Not 3 to 5%, at least 2 to 4%, because you also need to run the platform. I'm sorry. So, okay, my voice is gone. Are you able to hear me? Anush, can you
Yeah,
answer?
yeah, sure, sure. So when you say 3 to 5% in a bond of Spandana, so I think that might be a scenario where during COVID time, someone might have given you, or someone might have want to downsell it, the inventory that he has, so that he can get immediate liquidity. But generally, this is not the kind of margin that is being kept. So as Ajinkya repeatedly mentioned, so when we sell the bonds, we all, ourselves keep a margin of say roughly average 1 to 1.25% or 1.5%, ranging from different bonds to bonds. So we anyways are providing the best ever returns, like whatever is possible in our hands to the investors.
Look, and we also expect as the market grows really big, we would, if possible, we can also bring our margins low, right? Which is never a possibility in offline business. Because if the investors grow, RMs have to grow. In our case, there are no RMs. Today we are, let's say, 60,000 investors. If we are, let's say, 60 lakh investors, our team will probably get double. Our CA customer support, customer success team probably will get 5x, but the investor growth will be 100x. So by then we can look at it, but not right now. I mean, we already do better than offline firms, but that's not the benchmark. We could beat this also in future. Why do you show future repayments, including principal? There should be an option to look at pure investment repayment as well. I'll share this with team also as well. Sharing. I'm sorry. If FinCare is not coming back, I hope Windwealth will support if there are any issues during maturity. Yes, we will support. We have an existing relationship. It's not like we have shut down or they have shut down. We have decided not to work on that tech integration, but if you face any issues, we are there. I am investing in bonds since 2001 and it has been great experience. Learnings through blogs, videos, and writing, most importantly, such webinar, which could be made more. Response is quick, resolved all queries. Indrajit is one of your asset. Acknowledge and appreciate Win12 team for seamless experience. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Great compliment. Thank you. Is the buying and selling follow similar to stock trading? Do we have to check on daily basis? What if the situation is there are no buyers, and is it guaranteed returns at the time of maturity? Is the maturity period fixed at the time of new bond release or will it vary? So at maturity, you get fixed amount with interest and with principal. That maturity date is fixed when you invest in bond. If there are no buyers, then you have to wait for buyer or wait till maturity. But generally there are buyers. Only if something catastrophic happens, let's say COVID like, then there will be no buyers because liquidity will be crunched. Or there is something big negative news about the NBFC, so there will not be any buyer for that bond. Otherwise, there is a buyer. You might have to provide a little bit of discount or you might have to take a little bit of less interest rate to get liquidity. But liquidity will be there. It will not be very much like a stock price where it too much flows here and there. I don't imagine that happening. Like the price will be 1 or 2% here and there. Could be more also in some cases, to be frank, compared to the fair price on that day.
I think just to add to that previous answer, so the question also raised was on the guaranteed return. So there is no guaranteed return. Yeah, the returns, the repayment patterns are fixed, but in case of the company defaults, then there is no guarantee as such from us or any regulator. It's not a
Yes.
guaranteed product per se.
Can you able to add cash flow Excel on platform so that we don't need to rely on distributor RM because it is hard to understand the cash flow? I didn't understand this question.
So I think the customer is asking for the Excel cash flows instead of the product page. So we all
Anuj, you're stuck.
uh,
Anuj, your
details
last
page.
couple
So
of
in
sentences
case
were not.
if you're not able to find it, you can.
Could you repeat the answer, Anuj?
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Excel is already available on the asset page. So which gives the cash flows and the prices readily available on that Excel. So if you are not able to access that on the asset page, you can definitely reach out to our asset team, to our team, and we will guide you.
Yes, sir. I made request on WhatsApp to bring bonds of 10,000 rupees with monthly payment option, but still no new bond are on board. It means no value for customer request. But it's not like that. I'll tell you. See, particularly about this request, we are bringing the lead time. So to bring bond of a 10,000 rupees, merchant banker has to prepare a report, and it is very detailed report. So NBFC has to give in a lot of data. So we plan to bring one bond every month with monthly interest, right? That is number one. So that request is already taken care. It will happen. It doesn't happen overnight because it is a regulated product. There are so many parties involved. NBFC has to agree, etc. But it will happen. Now, whenever you give feedback, if you don't implement it, doesn't mean that we don't value customer feedback, right? The simple thing is we are a small team, so we can't really, like, for example, every webinar we get HUF question, right? We also understand. I also have HUF account, right? I can't open it with Wintwell today, right? We have to prioritize because we are a small team. We can't really deliver 100 things in a quarter. We can only deliver 10 things in a quarter. So we have to prioritize. So we prioritize which are real pain points, which are higher in number, and some points get deprioritized and get delivered later, right? Probably next quarter or next to next quarter. Doesn't mean that we are not listening to our customers, right? Uh, we listen, and then we took based on data and customer insight, and we do a lot of calls, and then we take a call. Again, coming back to the specific request, we understand it. We plan to bring such bonds very soon. One major USP for Wintwealth is not time boxing the webinars and answering all questions. Saying this from experience. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. What is the extent of risk percentage investor need to undertake? Do we have access to which company bond value invested to monitor, or is it managed by Wintwealth? We don't manage, you invest, we are a platform. What is the extent of risk investor need to undertake? Higher than FD, it is very difficult to quantify in terms of percentages. If I look at historical data, no bond has defaulted on Wind platform. If you look at triple B rated NBFCs, the default percentage is targeted about 2-3 percentages. But we also select NBFCs from that universe, so it becomes very low. It should become very low. Historically, it is zero. But it is very difficult to quantify it. Now, do we have access to which company the bond value is invested to monitor? Yes. So when you invest, you know which company you are investing in, and you get that company bond only. It is in your demat, and you can monitor. We also monitor quarterly basis. If there is any material change, we do tell our investors. Got it. We are at the end of questions. We answered about 230 questions today. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a great weekend. And I'm sorry, my voice broke at the last. But hope this session was useful. If you still have any questions, do let us know. We'll be more than happy to answer it. Bro, take care of your throat. Get some water. Yes, I will. Thanks for. I'm just getting OTP only on mobile, not on email. Please guide me. We have already solved it, right? Email OTP problem. Okay, I'm
Not
just
sure. We'll
getting.
check this. We can check this with the team
Yeah,
and
Ashutosh, do ping us on WhatsApp. We'll check if it is not solved. We will solve it. Great. We'll be here for another half a minute. OTP is only on mobile. Okay, so it's already in process of implementation. We understand that it should come to email also. But we have taken it up. If it hasn't gone live, it is taken up. Is my understanding. I'll check. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Have a great night. Good night. Thank you.
thank you.